You just lost a battle by opening your mouth. Most people talk their way into disaster and don't even realize it. They think communication solves everything. They're wrong. Dead wrong. Today, I'm breaking down the 6 situations where silence isn't just golden. It's your only weapon. Master this, and you'll watch others self-destruct while you rise. Stay until the end, because situation number 6 will change how you see power forever. And if you want to master your mind and dominate life's challenges, subscribe right now. This channel gives you pure Stoic wisdom without the fluff. Let's begin. 1. When someone insults you. Here's what weak people do. Someone disrespects them, and they immediately fire back. They defend. They justify. They explain. Congratulations. You just gave them exactly what they wanted. Every insult is bait. Every disrespectful comment is a test. The person throwing it wants a reaction. They want to see you lose control. They want to drag you into the mud with them. Silence breaks them. When you stay quiet after an insult, something powerful happens. The insult echoes back to the person who said it. It sits there in the space between you. Awkward, heavy, uncomfortable. They expected a fight. You gave them nothing. This isn't about being passive. This is strategic dominance. Marcus Aurelius faced senators who mocked him. Epictetus was literally enslaved and beaten. Both chose silence as their first response. Why? Because words reveal desperation. Silence reveals strength. Think about the last time someone insulted you. You probably spent the next hour crafting the perfect comeback in your head. Maybe you lost sleep. Maybe you vented to friends. Maybe you posted something passive-aggressive online. All of that is proof they won. The Stoics understood something modern people forgot. Your emotional reaction is the real defeat, not the insult itself. When you respond, you validate the insult. You give it oxygen. You make it real. Silence suffocates it. Here's what actually happens when you stay quiet. The insulter feels foolish. Their words hang in the air with no target. They either have to escalate, which makes them look unhinged, or retreat in embarrassment. Either way, you win. But there's a deeper level to this. Silence after an insult forces self-reflection. Not for them, for you. It gives you 3 seconds to ask, why does this bother me? What insecurity is this poking? That's gold. That's growth. Most insults only land because they hit something you're already worried about. Someone calls you lazy and you explode, because deep down, you fear they're right. Someone questions your intelligence and you write a dissertation defending yourself, because you doubt yourself. Silence gives you space to examine that fear instead of confirming it. Here's a real scenario. You're in a meeting. A colleague undermines your idea with a snide comment. Everyone's watching. The old you would have clapped back immediately, defended your idea, maybe even attacked their competence. The Stoic you? You pause. You make eye contact. You let the silence stretch for 2 full seconds. Then you calmly continue or redirect the conversation. Watch what happens. The room feels the tension. Your colleague looks petty. You look composed, professional, unshakable. That's power. Silence isn't weakness. It's refusing to dance to someone else's tune. It's keeping your energy for battles that actually matter. Remember this. The person who controls their reaction controls the situation every single time. 2. When you're angry, anger makes you stupid, temporarily but completely. When you're furious, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking, literally goes offline. Your amygdala takes over. That's your primal, reactive, survival-oriented brain. In that state, you will say things you can't take back. Guaranteed. Seneca wrote an entire essay about anger. He called it temporary madness. He wasn't exaggerating. Anger clouds judgment faster than alcohol. It makes you see enemies where there are none. It turns minor inconveniences into catastrophes, and it makes you talk. Boy, does it make you talk. Here's the trap. When you're angry, speaking feels like relief. You think you're releasing pressure. You think you're standing up for yourself. You think you're setting boundaries. You're not. You're handing ammunition to your enemies and alienating your friends. Every word you speak in anger is a potential weapon against you. People don't forget what you said when you were mad. They quote it. They hold it against you. They use it as evidence of your character. One angry outburst can destroy years of trust in seconds. The Stoics had a simple rule. Wait. Just wait. If you're furious, do not speak until the fury passes, not one word. How long does that take? Usually 24 hours, sometimes less, sometimes more, but always longer than you think in the moment. Here's what happens during that waiting period. You gain perspective. What felt like betrayal might reveal itself as miscommunication. What felt like disrespect might have been thoughtlessness, not malice. And even if you're still angry after waiting, you'll be angry with clarity. You'll choose your words instead of vomiting them. Real scenario. Your business partner makes a decision that costs you money. You find out via email. Your blood boils. Your fingers hover over the keyboard, ready to unleash. Stop. Close the laptop. Walk away. Come back tomorrow. Write the email if you still need to. But I guarantee it'll be a completely different email. One that solves problems instead of creating them. Here's another truth about anger. It's often protecting a deeper emotion. Fear, hurt, disappointment, shame. When you stay silent, you can identify that real emotion. And when you address that, you actually solve something. When you just explode, you create more problems. Silence during anger isn't suppression, it's containment. You're not pretending you're not angry. You're refusing to let anger make decisions for you. There's a difference. Think of silence as a fire break. Anger is a wildfire. It wants to spread, consume, destroy. Silence stops it from jumping to other areas of your life. One more thing. People respect those who stay calm under pressure. Nobody respects the person who loses it and screams. That's not strength. That's lack of control. True strength is feeling the anger, acknowledging it, and choosing silence until you can respond with precision. Master this, and you'll save relationships, opportunities, and your reputation. 3. When you don't have all the information, ignorance is forgivable. Loud ignorance is inexcusable. We live in a world where everyone has an opinion about everything. Politics, science, economics, relationships, fitness, spirituality. Most of these opinions are based on headlines, not understanding. The Stoic stays quiet when they don't know. Not because they're insecure, because they're honest. Here's the modern disease. People would rather look smart than be accurate. So they speak confidently about things they barely understand. They double down when challenged. They defend positions they adopted 5 minutes ago. It's exhausting. And it's dangerous. Every time you speak without adequate knowledge, you risk 2 things. First, you spread misinformation. Second, you reveal yourself as someone who values appearance over truth. Neither is good. Socrates, the grandfather of Western philosophy, said his wisdom came from knowing that he knew nothing. That's not humility theater. That's strategic epistemology. When you admit you don't know, you create space to learn. When you pretend you know, you close that space. Here's what silence does when you lack information. It makes you a better observer. Instead of formulating responses while someone's talking, you actually listen. You absorb. You question internally. This is rare. Most conversations are just two people waiting for their turn to talk. Real scenario, you're at a dinner party. Someone brings up a complex political issue. You have surface-level knowledge from social media. The old you would jump in with a hot take. The Stoic you stays quiet, asks questions, listens. If pressed for your opinion, you say, "I don't know enough about this to have a strong position yet." Watch how the room reacts. Instant respect. Because everyone else is performing. You're being real. Here's the deeper cut. In professional settings, silence in the face of incomplete information is executive-level behavior. Junior employees feel pressured to always have answers. Leaders are comfortable saying, "I need more data before I weigh in." That's confidence. Not the fake confidence of bluffing, the real confidence of knowing your limitations. There's also this. Premature opinions lock you in. Once you've publicly stated a position, your ego gets invested. Changing your mind becomes harder, even when new information emerges. Silence keeps you flexible, adaptive, free. The Stoics were obsessed with truth. Not being right, not winning arguments, discovering what's actually true. That requires admitting when you don't know. It requires the humility to update beliefs. It requires silence when you're tempted to fill space with noise. One more thing. Silence invites others to share their knowledge. When you're quiet, experts open up. They teach. They reveal insights you'd never get if you were performing your half-baked understanding. This is how you actually learn. Not by talking, by shutting up and paying attention. Be comfortable with, "I don't know." It's the beginning of wisdom, not the end of credibility. 4. When someone is provoking you, provocateurs are everywhere. They want you to react. That's their entire game. Could be a troll online, could be a toxic coworker, could be a family member who knows exactly which buttons to push. Doesn't matter. Your response is the same. Nothing. Here's what people don't understand. A provocation without a reaction is just noise. It has no power. It dies on arrival. But the second you engage, you've activated the trap. Provocateurs don't want dialogue. They want conflict. They want you emotional, defensive, reactive. That's when you make mistakes. That's when you look foolish. Silence neutralizes them completely. Epictetus was clear about this. You can't control what others do or say. You can only control your response. And the strongest response to provocation is no response. This drives provocateurs insane. They escalate. They try new angles. They might even accuse you of being weak or scared. Let them. Their escalation is proof of your effectiveness. Real scenario. Someone posts something inflammatory on your social media. They tag you. They're clearly trying to bait you into a public argument. Delete, block, move on, 0 words. Or in person. Someone at a family gathering makes a comment designed to embarrass you. Everyone's watching to see how you'll react. You smile slightly. You take a sip of your drink. You change the subject or excuse yourself. No defense, no counterattack. Just the brick wall of your composure. Here's what happens next. The provocateur looks bad. They came in hot, and you didn't take the bait. In the eyes of everyone watching, You're the mature one. They're the aggressor. You win without fighting. This is Sun Tzu-level strategy. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without battle. Silence is how you apply that to daily life. But there's a psychological component too. Provocateurs are often deeply insecure. They provoke to feel powerful, to get attention, to validate their worldview that everyone's against them. When you don't react, you deny them that validation. You force them to sit with their own emptiness. That's not your problem to solve. Your problem is protecting your peace. Here's the hard truth. Some people in your life are energy vampires. They feed on your reactions, your anger, your frustration, your need to be understood. Starve them, not out of cruelty, out of self-preservation. The Stoics understood that not every battle deserves your attention. Most don't. Most are distractions designed to pull you off your path. Stay on your path. Let the provocateurs exhaust themselves shouting at your silence. One last thing. This doesn't mean you never stand up for yourself. It means you choose your battles with ruthless precision. If someone's actually threatening your safety or livelihood, act. If they're just poking you to get a rise, silence. Know the difference. It'll save you years of pointless conflict. 5. When gossip is happening, gossip is social poison. It corrodes trust, destroys reputations, and reveals the character of everyone involved. And it's everywhere. The Stoic approach is simple. Do not participate. Not as the gossiper, not as the audience. When gossip starts, you have two options. Leave the conversation, or stay silent. Both send a message. I'm not interested in this. Here's why this matters. When you engage with gossip, even just by listening, you become part of the problem. You validate the behavior. You signal that this is acceptable social currency. It's not. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this. He said, when someone speaks badly of another person in your presence, it's a test. The test is whether you'll join in or redirect. Most people fail this test daily. They laugh at the gossip. They add their own observations. They say, well, I heard, and just like that, they've compromised their integrity. Silence protects you. It protects the person being gossiped about, and it elevates the conversation. Real scenario. You're at work. A group starts talking about a colleague who's not there. They're dissecting their mistakes, questioning their competence, maybe even getting personal. The old you might have joined in. Office politics, right? Everyone does it. The Stoic you stays silent. If it continues, you excuse yourself. I need to get back to work. Short, simple, clear. Here's what happens over time. People stop gossiping around you. They know you won't engage. They know you won't feed the machine. And here's the bonus. They trust you more. Because if you don't gossip about others, you probably don't gossip about them either. Trust is rare. Silence builds it. There's another angle. Gossip is often a way for insecure people to feel superior. By tearing someone else down, they temporarily feel elevated. It's pathetic, and it's temporary. When you refuse to participate, you're saying, I don't need to diminish others to feel good about myself. That's real confidence. The Stoics believed in focusing on what you can control. You can't control what others say about you. You can't control whether people gossip, but you can control whether you participate, whether you give it oxygen, whether you let it shape your perception of others. Here's the practical benefit. When you don't engage in gossip, you keep your mind clear. You form opinions about people based on your direct experience, not secondhand noise. This leads to better relationships, better judgment, better decisions. Gossip clouds all of that. One more thing. If you're the subject of gossip, and eventually everyone is, your silence is your shield. Don't defend yourself to gossipers. Don't try to correct the record through the rumor mill. Live in a way that makes the gossip obviously false. That's the ultimate response. Silence around gossip isn't just about avoiding drama. It's about maintaining your integrity in a world that constantly tests it. Be the person who doesn't engage. Watch how that changes everything. 6. When you've already won, this is the highest form of silence, the most powerful, the most rare. When you've won, truly won, you don't need to announce it. You don't need to gloat. You don't need validation. You just move forward. Most people can't do this. They win, and immediately they need everyone to know. They post about it. They rub it in. They make sure their enemies see it. All of that dilutes the victory. The Stoics understood that true power doesn't advertise. It doesn't need to. Results speak. Outcomes speak. Your life speaks. When you've won and you stay silent, you do something incredible. You keep your enemies guessing. You maintain mystique. You avoid creating new enemies who resent your success. Sun Tzu again. Appear weak when you are strong. Appear strong when you are weak. When you've won, appearing humble through silence is strategic genius. Real scenario. You land a major client or promotion that others competed for. The temptation is to celebrate publicly, to let everyone know you got it. Resist. Tell your close circle. Do your private celebration, then get back to work. Why? Because public celebration of victory often breeds resentment. People who didn't win now have a target for their bitterness, you. Why give them that? Here's the deeper principle. Every victory is temporary. Every win is the beginning of the next challenge. When you stay silent after winning, you stay focused on what's next instead of resting on what just happened. This is how you build momentum. Celebrate privately. Work publicly. There's also this. When you don't gloat, people respect you more. They see someone who wins with grace, who doesn't need external validation, who's focused on the work, not the recognition. That's rare. That's magnetic. The loudest winners are often the most insecure. They need constant affirmation that they're winning because deep down, they doubt it. Silence after victory shows you know your worth. You don't need to prove it to anyone. Marcus Aurelius was literally the most powerful man in the Western world, Emperor of Rome. He could have bragged about every decision, every victory, every triumph. Instead, he wrote in his private journal about staying humble, about remembering that everything is temporary, about not letting success corrupt him. That's why we remember him 2,000 years later. Not because he was loud, because he was wise. Here's the practical application. When you achieve something, ask yourself, do I need to share this, or do I need people to know I achieved this? If it's the second one, don't share. That's ego, not communication. There's one exception. If your victory can genuinely help or inspire others without being self-congratulatory, share it. If it's about teaching, not boasting, it's fine. But be honest with yourself. Most sharing is boasting in disguise. Silence after victory also protects you from complacency. The moment you start celebrating, you risk getting soft. You risk thinking the work is done. It never is. Every summit is the base camp for the next mountain. Silence keeps you climbing. One final thought. Your greatest wins will often be invisible to others. Internal victories, character development, demons conquered, habits mastered. Nobody else sees those. Nobody else can validate them. Get comfortable with that. The most important wins are the ones that happen in silence. That's the ultimate power. Conclusion: 6 situations, 1 skill, infinite power. Silence isn't passive. It's the most active choice you can make in a world that rewards noise. When you're insulted, silence breaks them. When you're angry, silence protects you. When you don't know, silence teaches you. When you're provoked, silence defeats them. When gossip happens, silence elevates you. When you've won, silence multiplies it. This isn't easy. You'll be tempted daily to speak when you should stay quiet. The urge to defend, explain, celebrate, or attack will feel overwhelming. That's the test. The Stoics didn't seek comfort. They sought mastery. Mastery over themselves first, over their reactions, over their impulses. Silence is where that mastery lives. Start today. Notice when you're about to speak. Ask yourself, is this necessary? Is this helpful? Or is this my ego, my anger, my insecurity talking? Most of the time, it's the latter. Choose silence, choose power, choose wisdom. And if you want more of this, pure Stoic principles without the fluff, subscribe to this channel right now. We're building something different here. No motivation speeches, no fake gurus, just timeless wisdom for modern life. You've made it to the end. That means you're serious about this. You're not here for entertainment. You're here for transformation. That's exactly who this channel is for. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications. Let's master this together. Remember, the person who talks the most rarely wins. The person who listens, observes, and acts with precision, they dominate. Be that person. I'll see you in the next one.